it got to a point where I had to realize, like, I'm compromising my son's psychological safety. I'm putting him in a position where he's not going to be able to recover if I don't pull him out of this environment. And I was causing him more harm than I was causing him good in an environment that was supposed to be good.
What's good, cousins, and welcome back again on another episode. How are you guys doing? Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new here, thank you so much for coming around, and please do not make it your last time. Today's video is actually a little emotional because listening to this woman can actually get some people emotional, especially people who have been in her shoes or people who are currently in her shoes. She was able to put her feelings and observation into words and just share with people, just to connect with other people who are probably in similar situation, or maybe get some solution on what can help. This woman expressed her feelings, talking about how difficult it is raising kids in the suburbs where you are the minority. Like, she shared her observation, and this has sparked some conversation online. I really want you guys to hear the real details from her because it feels a little emotional, but I need you guys to see the video that she posted.
I'm just going to say it. Raising kids in the suburbs where you're the minority is some bull. And I get the goal is to have the best opportunities, the best school, the best education. But honestly, at what cost? Because while as a parent you're worrying about their academics and opportunities, kids just trying to fit in. And they're looking around for ways to connect to other kids. What do we have in common beside our address? Maybe it's hair color or eye color. Maybe it's language. Maybe it's anime. Maybe it's gender or music. And that's all fine when they're young. But as they develop, pre-adolescence, when they start really seeing themselves and trying to figure out who they are or who they're becoming, it becomes a little more complicated because they start noticing certain dynamics and they start feeling marginalized. Always on the fray of a thing, but not in the mix of it. Sleepovers where other moms know each other better than your mom know any of the moms because they hang out or they go to the same synagogue or the same church. And then there's the biases, conscious or unconscious. I mean, your kid might be really good at the sport, but the dads that hang out together kind of look alike, and so they tend to pick each other's kids as top kids on the team. Or your daughter or son never gets a solo in a dance performance, and you don't want to pull out the race card and say that's it. But you might feel it in the pit of your stomach, though. And if you don't have a community for your child, the struggle is real. Because they really feel alone, fighting for their lives, trying to figure out who they are. Self-loathing starts. They just want to fit in. One of the things I noticed is when I went back home to the hood, and yeah, the area looks depressing, the buildings are dilapidated or whatever, but going into the store, there is a real sense of community amongst my own that I didn't notice before. Like the way that we just organically talk to each other in the aisles, calling each other baby, ma'am, sir, honey. Like if my boys were walking around in the store in the hood, somebody else's mom is going to call them baby. Baby, can you pick that up for me? Honey, can you get that over there? Ain't nobody in Wegmans calling my sons baby or honey. And it's a subtle thing, I get it, but it's connection and it builds a sense of community in ways that you don't even think about, because if you're in mostly white spaces, white kids are getting that all day because they look like somebody else's son or daughter or nephew. And so they may be getting that kind of constant nurturing within their community from random strangers all the time. And so they're in a community that's constantly building their self-esteem, constantly encouraging them in some way. And I got a bone to pick with other Black moms in these communities. Like if you're in the suburbs, and there's about 3-4 of us in a huge community, we're just peppered into the neighborhood. Why aren't we speaking to each other? What is with the wave and keep walking if we do? Because other ethnicities unapologetically get together in the playground, on the corners, start hanging out together. I think we're afraid to look like we're about to start an uprising.
That was the video she shared, you guys, and I would like to hear your thoughts about what she said. Aside from the message she passed, her pain was felt. Her eyes were teary. You can literally tell that this is the face of a mother who is overwhelmed, tired, and just trying to find the best place for our kids to feel included and just to grow their self-esteem. And going down into the comment section, there were a lot of people admitting to the fact that they grew up like that as well, and now they have to see a therapist and how traumatic it can really be for a child. There was a part where she said kids are just trying to fit in and connect with other kids. What do we have in common aside our address? And that it's so hard. Hearing her speak and tell that this woman is in pain, and I love how so many people contributed and encouraged and sent some love to her in the comment section, and how a lot of people are even telling her that you're not the only one in this. There are so many people in this situation, and even people who grew up in the same environment as well as speaking up. Some people were even saying they had to enroll their kids outside of that community just so they can have a sense of inclusion, and I think that is the best thing to do at this point if they are not even trying to move from that environment. And we know how overwhelming and exhausting it can be raising kids. There are some parents who as well stitched to that video, and I would like you guys to hear what they have to say and how they navigate such situation, because they as well drop some gem. You don't have to be a parent to actually understand what this person is saying. They are as well preparing those of us who are not parents. They're as well preparing us to know what's up. Let me roll the clip so that we all can hear what these people have to say about the video she made.
I'm just going to say it. Raising kids in the suburbs where you're the minority is some bull.
So let me start by saying I've moved a total of about 5 times with my husband's job. And so when I give my experience regarding this topic, I'm speaking from a place of having moved several times. Watching her video brought up for me the feelings I had when I lived in Dallas, Texas, and we lived in North Dallas. So we were closer to like the Colony and the Frisco area. And I remember being so proud of myself because we had this beautiful home in this beautiful neighborhood, and we were probably the only Black folks over there. And I remember seeing my son's school and thinking, oh my gosh, we did it. The school was immaculate. It was rated well. It had great resources. I thought my son is in a good school. And so I felt, proud because I grew up going to Title I schools. My schools didn't have a lot of resources. So, it was a totally different experience I was providing for my child. And I thought that's what you're supposed to aspire towards. Fast forward about 6 months, my son got in more trouble at that school than he got into his entire life. And I have videos on my page lower down talking about his experience with this particular school because there was so much happening there. But he started to get into so much trouble. He started to lose his motivation. He started to bring home C's and D's and even an F when he had always brought home A's and B's. And for the first time in his life, I could see that he was starting to buckle. And the sad part is I literally sat there and I wondered to myself, like, do I pull him out of this situation and protect him as his mother, or do I allow him to stay in the situation and build his strength, because this is what he's going to face in the real world when I'm not there with him? It got to a point where I had to realize, like, I'm compromising my son's psychological safety. I'm putting him in a position where he's not going to be able to recover if I don't pull him out of this environment. And I was causing him more harm than I was causing him good in an environment that was supposed to be good, because it didn't see him racially, it didn't understand his identity, it didn't nurture and develop him, he didn't have community. I could go on and on and on, not just for him, but for me too. I even remember looking for like Omega Lamplighters or like some other kind of resource group that could help him. But what I found was most of these groups were like located very far away in lower income neighborhoods. And for some reason, people don't think that kids who are, in homes where they're doing well still need support. Our experience in Dallas, Texas definitely reframed for me what is good, what's a good neighborhood, what's a good school, who's a good teacher, because I understood that more is needing to be considered than just the aesthetics of a thing. We definitely don't talk enough about how being one of few or the only can seriously impact the quality of your life.
I'm just going to say it. Raising kids in the suburbs where you're the minority is some bull.
Last year I made a video about my daughter attending her first mini HBCU. I call it a mini HBCU because every daycare that she's ever attended, she was the minority. So her PWIs. Part of that is unintentionally because I didn't have access to many predominantly Black daycares. Another part of that is my fault because in our minds, suburban, Title I, those kind of words are supposed to mean better. So when my daughter started kindergarten last year, I fell into that trap again. In my search process, I found some amazing schools according to these ratings. But these same amazing schools ended up on the news because of racism. With that being said, I decided to go back to the drawing board on what I required for a school for my daughter to attend. And when I did that, I can tell you that was the best decision of my daughter's education. I decided I wanted her to go to a school with a Black principal. I remember what impact that had on me having a Black woman as my principal. You can't choose the teachers, but I also wanted her to have a Black teacher because I've only had 2 out of my entire education. Well, 3 because my PE teacher. With all of that being said, my daughter, I found a school where her principal is Black. And this year, her teacher was also Black. 2 Black women. From this year, I saw my daughter become more confident. Not only did she stop asking me to get her hair straightened to look like her classmates, she also started embracing her fro, which surprised me. Every day before the start of class, they were doing affirmations. They just really poured into my baby tremendously. This is a note from her kindergarten teacher. It says, "I have enjoyed being your kindergarten teacher. You're such an amazing person. I hope that you will always remember that you have the power to make your life what you want it to be. I know that one day you will change this world and make it a better place for everyone. Keep being you. Keep spreading love and kindness to others and keep loving yourself. Remember that you are a beautiful chocolate girl with many gifts to share with the world. I love you."
I'm just going to say it. Raising kids in the suburbs where you're the minority is some bull.
You know, you might see this post come across your feed and you're thinking, like, what does this have to do with barbecue? But honestly, this is the reason why I barbecue. If you go ahead and check out the original post, this mom is talking about something real, right? Children and the community just growing how we grow it. Like, whatever we do, that's what our community is going to look like. However we interact, that's what our community is going to look like. So for the past, probably I would say hardcore 5 years, my neighbors and I, this neighbor and this neighbor, we have done, like, I think we've done such a great job of raising our kids that my son, it's a running joke in our house, he wants a brother. And the 2 neighbor boys, every time I say, nah, you know, so-and-so is your brother, or this one's your brother, he's never said to me, but he's Asian, or he's white. It's like, oh yeah, he is my brother. We are all different political beliefs, different religions, you know, whatever it is, but the rest of the time, we spend together. We, like, pop out, look over the fence, your neighbor is there, like, man, what are you doing? You cooking something? You planting something? You building something? What are you doing? Right? That's what we do. That's how we live back here. Coming out here and cooking every single day and inviting neighbors over, or going over to neighbor's house, or dropping off a plate, or dropping off a rack of ribs, whatever it is, making an extra pan of mac and cheese or an extra pan of lasagna and say, hey, bake this. It's not about the views, and it's not about the likes, and it's not even about the money. It's about building a community and fashioning that community in front of your eyes so you guys can see it. Every day when I go live and you guys are watching, you're seeing what we are building back here. And I hope people will take away from that, like, not just the recipes, but how we are trying to build our community and raise our kids to fellowship with one another no matter how they look, to love one another, to be kind to one another every single day. And if you're, you know, right now in this country and you don't feel the need to love thy neighbor, or to be kind to one another, or to just be a better neighbor, then you're not really seeing what's going on. You know, like, who are you going to call if your kids go missing, right? Who are you going to talk to if something goes wrong? Who's going to watch your house? Who's going to watch your back? Love thy neighbors, y'all.
If only the world can get comfortable with each other, if only we can see each other past the skin color. It's so difficult, the world we live in today. Like, some people will be like, oh, you don't look like us, we don't want to have things to do with you. Imagine kids in an environment where they can literally work 30 an hour and can't even find someone who looks like them. Imagine your kids being the only black person in a school full of white people. Can actually be traumatizing. What do you guys think about what they all said? Shout out to the last man who stitched this video, because that was actually very, very good. You know, it shows that those little efforts can as well help build a community. Another thing that I noticed in that video is the very first beautiful woman that stitched that video. You guys can see that she was as well moved to tears about how her son felt during the process of being in a place where it does not feel included. She talked about that she had to realize that she was compromising her son's psychological safety and how difficult it is, because she was putting him in a position where he might not be able to recover. The realization is what hit hard, and I think that is the part where you can tell that there were waters in her eyes. Like, it's so painful to her. You can tell that this woman is feeling the pain her son had to go through. Loneliness is real, and community is very, very important in the development of a child, even as an adult. Just imagine living in an environment where you can come out and see somebody where you can relate to. This very first creator said there's nobody telling, our kids, oh baby, can you help me pick this? Oh honey, can you do this for me? But this white kid gets that every day. Like, is it even worth it just because of the best school, the best education, saying you live in the best environment? Putting that first for your child's psychological, security is like not worth it at the end of the day. A lot of people in the comment section were even saying something like they will give off the, good school, the so-called good school, best school, good environment for a very good community, like, because of how important it is for a child to feel included. Because not only is it that they are going to be able to have friends, but the confidence it is going to give them. Just as the same thing the second stitches said, when she said her daughter came back requesting to wear her hair in an afro, because that school has already helped her child build her confidence, and it's so important. I came across some comments that I will be sharing with you guys. This person said, not to mention the discrimination, microaggression, and how to write racism that they experience. Another one said, this is real. I was exhausted sometimes, but I socialized my child in after-school community centers and sent him to summer camp in more diverse area. And I think this is one of the best solutions to have, because if you are in an environment that is like this and you're not ready to leave the environment, or it's not convenient for your family to leave the environment, I think another thing that can help, putting them in centers where they can be with their own people and build a community from there. It is very, very important. Another person who experienced the same thing said, as the kid who grew up as the only Latino in the white suburbs, this is so real. Even the "so real" was written in capital letter. I almost started crying. Thank you for sharing. Another person said, growing up in white suburbs, I couldn't define what was missing. I didn't truly understand till I went to an HBCU and felt the comfort of my community. A lot of people were traumatized. They don't even know what their identity is. They don't even know what their culture is. They don't even know a lot about their own people, because they did not grow up in a community of people that looks like that. Thank you for giving voice to this experience that isn't talked about often enough. And that was the cherry on top. Like, a lot of people were, even telling her that you were able to put your emotions, you're able to put your feelings into words, and thank you so much for starting that conversation. This conversation can be emotional, especially for parents who are in that situation right now and they're looking for a way to navigate it and just, put their kids in communities that will help them. Let me know what you think. I know my algorithm is filled with people who are, in that age bracket of being parents, married, mom, dad. I would really like to hear what you guys think in the comment section. Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section. Let's continue this conversation in the comment section. Thank you all so much for joining. And if you have not subscribed, please smash the subscribe button. There are more interesting conversations to come on this channel that I do not want you to miss out on. So please smash the subscribe button and turn your bell notification on. And I will definitely talk to you guys in the next one. Bye. and I love you guys.